is Sarah Squires bringing you behind the headlines in today's edition of WYO Today Newsroom. Today, I am joined in the studio by Emma Marand. She is the SageWest Education Director. Welcome to the show, Emma.
Hey, well, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about something that I'm really excited about, and it is an upcoming series of offerings from SageWest that are CPR courses. And, I have so much to say about this. I've got some kind of insight and a couple of stories too, but I think it might be a good idea for us to kind of go over first what we're talking about when we talk about CPR. You know, what CPR is and what we're sort of aiming for when we're in that situation and someone really needs our help.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So CPR is a much easier way of saying cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Mm-hmm. And basically what that is as someone's going about their day-to-day business, your blood carries oxygen up to your brain and helps you do all the processes you need to do to be alive. Mm-hmm. And when someone needs CPR, their heart is no longer pumping that oxygenated blood to our brain and other important organs. So what we do in CPR is help continue to that oxygenated blood flow to physically deliver oxygen to the brain. So
Yeah, that's definitely, a situation where, if someone's heart's stopped or it's not beating correctly, every second really counts. And so even if you do have, EMTs or emergency workers who are, minutes away, the minutes in between there make a huge difference for the outcome for that patient. And, there's something that we can do as bystanders, as loved ones, as witnesses, somebody maybe just walking down the street, to do something really life-saving and life-changing in those few minutes as we wait for kind of the professionals to step in. And that is, of course, CPR. Now, I know SageWest has these opportunities. I'm going to go over them a couple of times here, but this is your chance to, grab that pen and paper. Half a pencil will do here, guys. But these are your opportunities for some CPR courses coming up. So the first one's going to be on Tuesday, February 24th. That's at SageWest in Lander from 6 to 9 p.m. All of these, I believe, are from 6 to 9 p.m., folks. So the second one is Tuesday, May 26th. That's going to be at the Riverton campus for SageWest. Then we're looking ahead into 2026, August 25th. That's another Tuesday night at SageWest in Lander. And then November 17th, again, a Tuesday at SageWest in Riverton. So we're kind of bouncing from Lander to the Riverton campus, making sure that folks really have a chance to hop in there and, register, take advantage of this class. It is just a few hours and you will have the insight that you need to step in when someone really kind of needs you the most. So I think, honestly, maybe this is just my amateur view of things, but I feel like knowledge of CPR, the ability to do CPR, I feel like that's kind of something we should all know because, this is the scenario that we just can't predict. We never know when someone's going to need our help in this way. But Emma, who are the folks who you feel would be best for this class? Or maybe we should just sort of kind of tap into folks who are listening and maybe not realizing, this is really something that I should put on my calendar and make sure that I am taking advantage of.
Absolutely. I agree that knowledge of CPR helps community outcomes so much. It can make a difference in the patient being able to return to their day-to-day life absolutely as if nothing ever happened almost. Mm-hmm. So the people I have in mind that I think might not think about this class right away is caretakers. So if you're a grandparent and you watch your grandchildren all the time, this is a great class to make sure that you can protect your loved ones. Parents, educators, if you're a teacher in a school, if you are interested in a summer position as a lifeguard, this is a necessary requirement in order to do those jobs. If you babysit your neighbor's kids, or are out in your community a lot, you like to hold community events, this is a great event, great class to be knowledgeable of and skill.
I kind of made a promise here at the top of the hour that I had a story, and I just I can't hold back any longer, guys. I know it's been like 2 minutes, but so I have been certified several times in CPR. I spent close to 10 years working in healthcare. I was a nursing assistant. I worked in nursing homes, hospitals, group homes when I was in high school, when I was in college, and then a little bit kind of on the tail end of, or the very beginning of my journalism career, I was kind of doing both. Like, I had this moment where I was finishing up in the nursing home and working at the newspaper, and I got to read my own newspaper to my residents. So that was fun. But I did have the opportunity and the need to perform CPR in an emergency situation. And so that happened at my workplace. It was probably, oh gosh, not quite 10 years ago, but pretty close. And, I was just kind of walking through my office, and I turned a corner, and I encountered a group of my coworkers who were just kind of standing there frozen. And then there was one coworker who was kind of knelt down on the ground next to another coworker who was flat on his back. And I remember I grabbed the nearest phone, and a couple of the coworkers who were just sort of kind of in that frozen moment said, "We already called 911." And I remember from that spot next to the phone, I leapt off my feet and I sort of dove toward the guy, my coworker. He had actually had a widowmaker heart attack. So he was in very serious condition. He was on the floor, and another coworker and I performed CPR. And I honestly cannot tell you how long it took. It was not very long before our ambulance crew arrived at the scene. But he survived a widowmaker heart attack, and it was an amazing experience. It was really scary. But we were talking earlier about how what happens when you have that surge of adrenaline is sort of hard to practice. So you don't really know how you might, respond when you're in an emergency or faced with something scary like that. But when you have the tools in the toolbox, when you feel confident that you understand CPR, that you can be a hero in that situation, it really lends itself to you acting and doing what's needed in a crucial moment like that. And so I always reflect on that, and I think that moment also helped me feel more prepared going forward. So I haven't encountered a situation where CPR was needed since that time, but I know I'm ready. I know I'm ready. I know I might not be able to see it coming, but I do know that I am someone who can be a helper when something terrible or scary happens. I know that about myself, and I chalk that up to the time that I spent with our CPR dummy. I believe her name was Annie. I don't know if you guys have any newer monikers for the dummies we get to practice on in CPR courses, but what a sense of just a valuable sense of well-being, of confidence, and drive here to know that you can be helpful in a situation where you're needed. It is it's really priceless, honestly. So I want to encourage folks out there who are listening to take advantage of these opportunities. You can learn from the pros at SageWest what you need to know to be ready, be confident, and be a lifesaver in those moments that we never really know when to expect. So it's been a while since I performed CPR. It's been a while here, but for folks who are listening here, can you tell us a little bit, Emma, about kind of the components of CPR? I know we've got chest compressions, we've got breathing, things that we need to keep in mind. What are some of the basics that people should be thinking about when they think about CPR?
Absolutely. So, thank you for your action to save your coworker. That absolutely made you a hero, and you absolutely saved his life.
Well, thank you.
That's an incredible action you took, and yeah, I'm grateful that you took the education you had and used it.
Yeah.
So going back to what she asked what are some of the other things that we learn in CPR. So some things that we always know is compressions, and then we help to manage breathing with a mask. But also there are important actions like what she first had the impulse to do. She grabbed that phone. So our first thing is made sure the situation was safe. She was in her workplace. I assume none of her coworkers were threatening in any way. And then she grabbed that phone. She went to activate an emergency response. So in this course, we go over a systematic way of approaching a situation or a scene so that you are best prepared to be safe yourself and have the best outcomes for your loved one or community member. So.
Yeah. So we were talking earlier, and I came up with this riddle. It is probably has many answers, guys. Beware. But what do Taylor Swift, Sabrina Carpenter, and Beyonce have in common? The answer is a tempo that we got to remember. Emma, tell us about why we want to be thinking about kind of that rhythm in the back of our minds when we're talking about CPR.
So you want to pick your favorite song that has about 120 beats per minute, and that is going to be the rhythm that you use for your compressions in CPR.
Yeah, so for those examples here, some of us who, maybe have a little bit more white in our hairs here might remember the classic Staying Alive. That is a beat, of course. Staying Alive, yeah. But you can also think of The Man by Taylor Swift, the Please Please song by Sabrina Carpenter, and then, come on, folks, Texas Hold'em by Beyonce. Those are all kind of right in that range of 120 beats a minute, but something to keep in mind because you want to make sure that your compressions are kind of moving at the pace that we want them to help that oxygenated, I can't even say it, the oxygen in the blood reach your brain. So definitely a kind of a fun one and a fun way to remember kind of what we're looking for with those chest compressions. If you're just tuning in here, folks, we're talking about some opportunities to kind of put on your cape and be prepared to be a lifesaver. And that is through getting certified in CPR, going through CPR courses here that are offered here by SageWest. We've got the first one coming up on Tuesday, February 24th. At SageWest in Lander. All of these are from 6 to 9 p.m. So it's just kind of one night that you can spend, give 3 hours to gain that sense of security and knowledge that you can be a hero for a loved one. The second one is on May 26th. It's at SageWest in Riverton. Then we're going to hop back over to Lander for August 25th. And then finally on November 17th of 2026, that's a Tuesday night from 6 to 9 p.m. at SageWest in Riverton. Now, if you are thinking, hey, it's been a long time since I, practiced CPR. Maybe I did that back when I was training to be a babysitter back in, I'm going to date myself here, but, 1989 or something like that. You can sign up here, get your kind of refresher course in, bring a friend, bring a loved one, make sure that your family is prepared to face, any emergency that you might happen upon. You can register by stopping by the front desk at SageWest in Lander or in Riverton, and you can pick up your course book there. You can call for more information or figure out other ways to register. Give them a call at 307-235-4684, or you can email marty4him@gmail.com for more information or to get your questions answered. So we were kind of talking a little bit about who this class is for. So it could be that you have a caretaker role. Maybe you're a new parent, or, you've got some extended family. You want to make sure that you are in the loop and know what to do while you wait for the pros to come in if you're faced with an emergency. Maybe you're an educator, or maybe you're just thinking, gosh, what they're talking about here on the radio this morning, this sounds like a club I want to join. I want to be a potential hero. I want to be ready for anything. But I think there are a lot of reasons that we should be really thinking of when it comes to, why this is important. Emma, I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about maybe some of those reasons and kind of what, I think part of it too, as sort of like this person who is outside of the healthcare world, it makes me sort of feel like I'm in this club. And I think some of the motivation of folks who are in healthcare, who are putting on those capes every day, for their profession, probably plays into, some of the reasons that it's great to sort of be part of this force for good here with CPR.
Absolutely. I love being a nurse. That is always how I identify myself. I am the director of education at SageWest, but I am so grateful to be someone who can serve my community. I'm so grateful for the trust that the community places in us in SageWest for their care and healthcare. Being a member of the CPR club certainly does make you a hero, and it helps you save a life. It's precious minutes that we take to help someone's outcomes. The more people informed in CPR, the better the community can do as a whole. We are pretty far from huge centers out here in Lander and Riverton. So the actions that our community members can take to start that CPR early really does help the outcomes for our patients.
Yeah. And, I know, I live here in Riverton. I'm, probably just a few minutes away from the hospital, from the ambulance crew. But I know a lot of our listeners are, a lot further away. They are waiting a lot longer when they are calling for medical help. And so if you're listening right now, and I want you to take a little minute here to just do a little bit of math in your head about how long you might have to wait for help in the event that there is an emergency upon you. So let's calculate those minutes and really think about how precious even 1 minute is. Part of what CPR does is, providing that oxygen to the brain. It is. I can't speak enough to how important that is for the outcome. So, you might have someone who could recover and be, entirely whole as long as we are able to keep that blood flowing, while we're waiting for, bigger medical intervention. So, let's take those minutes and, add one little piece to the formula here, and that is you being able to help while you wait. I can't say enough about how important that is and what a life-saving recipe it is to add CPR to your household, to your life, to your family members, in the way that you're able to care for them. So if you are interested in signing up for these community courses, they're on a quarterly basis here starting in 2026. The first one's on February 24th in Lander at SageWest. The second one's May 26th at SageWest in Riverton, and then on August 25th at SageWest in Lander. And then the final one is on Tuesday, November 17th at SageWest in Riverton. They're all from 6 to 9 p.m. The cost is $50 per person, but I think that is, it's hard to put a price tag on the value. When you're able to be prepared for anything, when it comes to caring for your loved ones and making sure that every one of those so important minutes, has you there making a difference and making sure that your loved one has what they need to get better. So that's my little elevator pitch. I always sort of ask my guests to sort of, as we're coming to an end here, to sort of give out their last little plea when we're talking about something like this, where we just need you to get your butt out of the chair and go in and do something that's going to be so beneficial for you and your family. It gives you the tools that you need to help a loved one in case of an emergency. But Emma, give me your just sort of little elevator pitch. I know that you're kind of, you're our teacher here in the class. You're the education director at SageWest. So we're looking to you as a leader, and you're the one who can kind of give us these tools. So give us the sort of formal invitation here for the CPR courses that we know can make sure can kind of fix that cape to your neck and help you become a lifesaver yourself.
Yeah, come join us at SageWest. We're going to have these courses at both Lander and Riverton. come see me and Marty at the first one on February 24th at SageWest and Lander from 6 to 9 p.m. This really does empower you to be a hero and save a life. It makes the biggest impact on our community outcomes and ability to survive a cardiac event. So please come out and arm yourself with knowledge so that you can be that hero in your community. And I look forward to seeing you guys there. This will be available throughout the year, alternating campuses. So I hope to see some of you guys there.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I look back and I think about my coworkers who are sort of standing there in that semicircle frozen. And I realize that probably the biggest factor in that moment, it wasn't that they maybe didn't know what to do with their adrenaline. It was that they didn't feel confident that they were trained in CPR. So I want you guys to, think long and hard about joining me here. You don't want to be the passive standbyer who can't help when you're faced with the critical moment, a life or death moment. Be the hero. Join us in the Cool Kids Club. It's at the CPR courses offered here by SageWest, and they are coming on a quarterly basis throughout 2026, and it is your chance to give you and your family the tools that you need to make a real difference in moments that matter more than anything else. If you want to check out more information about how to sign up, just give them a call at 307-235-4684. I want to thank you so much for joining me this morning, Emma. It's been a real pleasure, and I'm so happy to share the news about something that can be so meaningful for folks.